good boys like you tell pretty lies. The 5 a.m. low in your eyes says your heart is changing. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, you get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby.
This is Broad Radio. For you, by you. Broad Radio. Here for more.
Myself back in Melbourne now for a couple of months. So my first, of course, reach out was to you, Joe, to go, I'm back, get me back on the microphone.
Oh, it's been a while since we've had you with us here at Broad Radio, but it's a joy to see you again in your glorious pink, the two of us.
Oh, it's a thing.
Somehow got
I
it
look like a little
sorted.
picnic rug, but that's all right.
Oh, no, I love a gingham.
It's not a gingham, isn't it sweet? I only bought this recently for the spring that we're currently not having in Melbourne.
Oh my gosh, I know. Hey, if you are looking for something to entertain you, to lift your spirits, today is the day. We have got everything from an app that's going to sort out your mental well-being, to sport, to world pride, to musicals,
Yes.
to beautiful self-care kind of products, and like everything that you might want to explore how you can lift your spirits and make yourself feel great.
It's a very full show. We've got lots of amazing conversations to have.
We absolutely do. Now, Kez, what do you describe yourself as? Like, you're a makeup artist, but you're kind of a performer / media
I'd like to
person
think I'm a performer. I'm not, but thank you for that. In my mind, I'm Beyonce. No, I'm a bit of I call myself an all-rounded creative, I guess. So I move through ebbs and flows of what I tend to do. So it's generally working from the shoulders up. That's how I like to kind of navigate that. So currently, what's brought me back to Melbourne, I'm working on Phantom of the Opera. Yes. Which is so exciting. And my mum reminded me that that's the first musical that we went to together back in 1993 in Brisbane. So it's exactly the same, as in it's the same lyrics, it's the same storyline, but this particular version of it's been reimagined. So it's new set design, new costume. And it's the first time it's been done this way in the world, and it is stunning. It's
amazing.
Beautiful. It's really amazing.
It is true that I think a lot of people discovered theatre for the first time because of Phantom of the Opera in the 90s.
Yeah, and there's a real fandom, no pun intended, how the PH fandom. So there are fans. There are real fans out there, and they will see it multiple times. And they'll let you know on social media now. But thankfully, the reviews of this particular production is wonderful.
Yeah. Well, talking of social media, if you are watching and listening live on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or however you are enjoying us right now, we'd love you to join us in conversation, share your comments and thoughts as we go along with the show today. And you can catch up on previous episodes with our podcast, Broad Radio on the Go, wherever you get your podcasts. So, Kez, when you're doing wigs.
Yes. We call it, the department's called WHAM, which is such a great name, isn't it?
Who
Wigs,
doesn't love that?
Wigs, hair and makeup, yes. So I'm in the role of deputy, so which means I'm obviously under the head of department, which is very nice and also very busy. So, yes, throughout the show, it's a very busy show, wig-wise. So it's really interesting when people that haven't been peeked behind the curtain of a theatre experience, one may think that you just... you put a wig on and then that's it for the whole show. But no, there's lots of changes. The ensemble go in and out of different characters perhaps, or you make changes. You also work closely with wardrobe as well. Mm-hmm. And it's such a beautiful show. And of course, because it's a period show as well, there's lots of headpieces, which is right up my alley being a milliner. I'm really enjoying all of that as well. And I always have the opportunity to dress out the week. So basically a typical working week is about 52 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many shows is that?
It's 8 shows.
Okay. So what days do you have off?
Monday.
Okay, that's it. I know you guys. People imagine, I'm going to join the entertainment biz. It'll be so glamorous, but it's actually the reality is it's a huge amount
Massive,
of work,
yes,
obviously.
yes.
And not always that glamorous backstage.
Not always glamorous, and there's dealing with lots of personalities, which is it's wonderful. I really love being around entertainers, and there's such a the current group that I'm with are such incredible talent, and they're all very generous of spirit as well. Most are pretty experienced, so it's lovely to be around them. And lovely hearing about their stories as well. Some have been on Les Mis, and of course it's the auditioning round at the moment too. Wicked's coming up again. I know we're speaking with Lucy Durack soon, but they're currently auditioning for that at the moment. They're auditioning for Les Mis, they're auditioning for Beauty and the Beast. So hearing all that little behind the scenes as well, it's always quite exciting when you hear of someone that you're working with getting a new gig, which is tough. I don't know how they do it. That constant going for roles, I don't know how they do it. It's phenomenal.
I think you would have to be extraordinarily resilient because it's hard to, you've got to separate yourself from the work, right? And go, okay, I'm going to put myself out there, put my heart and soul into this audition. And then when I don't get it, I'm going to go, I'm okay with that. I'll just try again next time.
I don't know how they do it. Yeah, it's extraordinary how resilient they are.
But what I love too that you're alluding to there, which is one of my favourite things about the entertainment industry, and I'm in the media side of it, but I know that the theatre, I'm certain it's exactly the same, and I see it with my husband who's in the producing sort of crew side of film and TV. So supportive of very different personalities that everyone is kind of, in a lot of ways we're here because we're misfits, right?
Yes.
And there's just a real sense I see where you go, you know what? You're a little quirky. There are things that other people might not forgive in you, but we love you anyway.
Yes, and I think absolutely, but also too moving forward, like within the entertainment industry, there's massive conversations happening now, of course, about diversity and inclusivity, which is so essential. So it'll be interesting to see with casting moving forward. I know we're talking with Lucy about Wicked, but there's chat about. I don't know whether overseas there's a woman of colour that's. In the role of Glinda, so how lovely. Like we're not now thinking stereotypically that Glinda has to be blonde and blue-eyed. So there could be any race or ethnicity, which is really fabulous to see. But there's still big conversations happening around that. There was a lot going on with social media with Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, which is currently playing in Melbourne. There were big conversations going online about the story of that. I've never seen it. It's not kind of my thing, so I can't really contribute to that conversation, but there were lots of banter going on about it wasn't really appropriate, but it was blown out of proportion. It was
I don't know. I've not seen it, but I do remember having to study that story in Sunday school. And I can't say I have a desire to go back to it.
No, it's not. It's not on my top ones to go and see either.
Well, I love imagining you backstage. I have seen some footage on your Insta of you dressing a wig. And I know because you're so clever, I've got some of your hats as a milliner, and you've done my hair and makeup in the past as well. It's just so glorious to see the artistry of what you do, and that it isn't just about just plonking a wig on like you're going to Halloween. Like there's an actual, everything has to be fitted and dressed every time that they wear it.
There is, and there's a bit of folklore behind it too, that how you treat your wig when you dress. They're all dressed on a block, which is a head shape, so it's not dressed out on them, but what the energy that you put into it is how it kind of turns out, or the energy from the person. Like if the energy of the person wearing it is a bit not great, then the wig will end up a little bit askew and a bit not great. And it's kind of interesting that, so we say, like, don't, sometimes a wig can get frustrating to do, especially doing period work, but if I'm finding myself getting a little bit in that zone, I will just step away from it because I don't want to swear at it.
Oh, sure. You got to
I'm not
respect,
swearing at the hair.
Like, for sure. Like, it's like she's got a personality and a life and has lived before and will live past this show as well.
Yes.
So,
and the wigs that we have is part of a touring show, which is I found fascinating. So a lot of these pieces have been around the world touring in different productions of it for 4 years. So it's come to us and you go, oh, she's a bit tired. she's tired. She has seen some things. We've got to give it life and love.
She needs a little R&R, this one. Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Oh, thanks for that little insight.
Pleasure.
I love that. Well, of course, we're talking musicals, and one of Australia's most popular musical superstars is Lucy Durack. I love her. She is like sunshine personified. And she's got a little side hustle with her dear friend Elise McCann, another musical superstar in Australia. And I love this side hustle, and she's joining us now. Lucy, hi there.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi there. So nice to see you guys. How are you?
Oh, good. Look
we
at
are
you.
good. Look at Lucy. Oh, we are with theatre royalty right there.
Absolutely,
Theatre
darling.
royalty. We're thrilled.
Does that bring out any kind of emotion hearing Kerrie explain the backstage and the machinations of the hair and makeup of a show that is for you, it's second nature, it's your home?
But it's true. I mean, like the wig people and the wig and wardrobe team become your best friends because they're the ones that you spend the most amount of time with. Especially like Joe. I don't know if you remember, but you and I did Legally Blonde together.
Oh, dolls! I can't believe you brought it up. I did one show.
Oh, you did. That's
one
right.
show when you did Legally Blonde as a part of a ridiculous radio promotion.
That's right.
You're so kind in even bringing that up, Lucy.
So excited. But on a show like Legally Blonde, like I was very fortunate to have one of my best friends, two of my best friends really, Jess Murray and Lucetta Stapleton, who did my wigs and wardrobe. And because I had something like, I don't know, over 20 wig and costume, well, when I say wig and costume changes, like costume changes, but then I'm a big sweater. And so I had that massive blonde wig. And so it was constantly just having to kind of, there you go, having to, tame it and, get the underneath bit that had gotten a bit sweaty and was starting to look a bit, like real, because it's real hair. But yeah, the choreography backstage is often more intricate than the choreography on stage. And that's what I love about it. Like when I was doing Wicked, there used to be this one bit right towards the end when Glinda walks down the staircase into to see Elphaba, and they say goodbye and they sing the final song For Good together. And I get to climb up to the top of this staircase and have this kind of bird's eye view of everybody. And there's like people doing quick changes with hair and costumes and people moving big pieces of set on that had fire in them. And it was just, there was so much going on, and it's kind of so dangerous, but because it is so well organized, nothing bad happens, but it's so full on to watch, and to be part of it is a real honor.
Oh,
yeah, it's lovely to hear.
It's
The wigs today, Kerrie, are so beautiful. You always know, as somebody who works in musical theatre, I've worked in part of musical theatre for the better part of the last 20 years, and you're going, wow, gosh, those ballerinas have beautiful hair. Wait. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you, Lucy.
Beautiful hair.
I'll pass it on to our head of department, Hugh. He'd love to hear that.
Now, we do need to, though, speak about your side hustle, which now has become, like it's been birthed, this beautiful app, which it's a pep talk, effectively, in your pocket. Can you explain to us what Hey Lemonade is, Lucy?
So Elise McCann and I, Elise, you'd know, she played Matilda she played Miss Honey in Matilda, amongst many other roles. But she and I have been friends for the better part of 15 years, 20 years maybe. And when COVID hit, she and I were both finding things a bit stressful. The things that weren't serious, but were serious to us, kind of everyday stresses, but that were feeling significantly stressful. And we were both turning to the apps, meditation and wellness apps, and we were both finding them a tiny bit woo-woo, or we weren't necessarily always relating to the voice that they were offered in, but largely it was just taking up time I didn't have. I knew I was meant to be sitting with my eyes closed. I love a bit of meditation, but I was, instead of sitting with my eyes closed for 20 minutes, twice a day, I was changing nappies and making lunches and doing things and thinking, I know I'm failing at this. And so we went for a walk and we had a chat, and we were like, see, this is actually really what you need. You just need a chat with a friend to nip a stress in the bud. But of course, that's not always available. Like, I'm not going to call Elise at 3 o'clock in the morning, or if I've got a big meeting, I'm, probably not going to be going and getting out of that. So we were like, I just need like a short little, best friend in my pocket pep talk. And we were like, surely this exists. And we looked everywhere, but it just didn't exist. And so we thought, let's make it ourselves. And so we have, and it was like one of those typical naive moments where you just go, let's make this. And then like 18 months later, it's become our full-time job. And
Oh, trust me, I understand. I understand that moment where you go, how hard can it be? And then 2 years later you go, turns out very hard.
and I'm very glad I didn't know, because we probably wouldn't have done it if I'd known how hard it was, but I'm so glad that we did. So they're 3 minutes. They're all the talks are about 3 minutes long, and they're all uplifting pep talks, but in pragmatic language and about a specific issue. So when you're feeling blur, when you need a G up for a big meeting, when the people you live with are driving you nuts or the people you love are driving you nuts. And we've worked with some incredible writers, so by the likes of Marie Cardy and Benjamin Law and Wesley Enoch and Amy Tunick, and the list goes on. Michelle Law. We've had so many wonderful writers join us, Susie Youssef, and then every single talk is voiced in at least 3 different voices. So the voices that you can see, of course, wonderful Tony Armstrong. We just recorded in the Barossa with Maggie Beer, and oh gosh, it was amazing.
I want Maggie to give me a pep talk. Wouldn't that be divine?
You actually had me at Virginia Gay, of course. Her voice is just... It is all about the voice too. As Lucy, you touched on that before about when you're flipping through trying to find meditations. I really related to that too, because the voice has to be right. Otherwise it's annoying, which defeats the absolute purpose.
That's it, isn't it? And sometimes you might want something different on a different day. Like we have this gorgeous guy in the app called Chief Brabon, and Chief is an ex-SAS, ex-Navy SEALs trainer. So he's really hardcore, but he's also got a heart of gold. But you might want like a kick into action to exercise or something like that, and Chief might be a person. But at the same time, you might want that same talk by, Zoe Tarakis does some beautiful talks for us, and they have a really calm voice. So you might want something super calm. Or Ben Law has such a pragmatic voice, and he really sounds like, your brother that you just love or your best friend. And we just hope that we think that we have really got you covered, so that however you're feeling, we've got somebody that will suit how you'd like to hear your pep talk.
Has it come from researchers to understand what people really need help with? Because I guess, I could list 5 things, but I don't know if that's actually what the general population need.
Yeah, no, that's true, Joe. We've done significant research, and in fact, we were the recipients of a CSIRO research grant that we've used to, and the results came through not that long ago, actually, and they were so positive that the CSIRO are now publishing their findings in a paper that should come out at the beginning of next year. And so we were all thrilled and also kind of relieved, because we've got 4 psychologists on board, so that everything's passed through psychologists as we go to make sure that it is scientifically sound, and that it's sort of the psychologists sit in the writers' room with us, and then they also do passes. So we've got the writers who are injecting some lighthearted wit and some pragmatism and some breathing, but in a very kind of non-woo-woo way. And we've got wonderful Chris Cheers, who I don't know if anyone follows him, but Chris is a wonderful psychologist, and throughout the Melbourne lockdowns, he became a real voice of comfort for me particularly, and his Instagram posts were just really informative and just really scientifically sound, and made me feel very calm. So we were super excited to get him on board. And then we have the wonderful Sally Clifford and Amelia McCann and Ben Gerard, who's a coaching psychologist and expert in solution-based psychology. So we've really got some excellent people that have been giving us amazing advice and covering off all angles.
I love too that it comes from the premise that, of course, and we say it all the time, it's okay not to be okay, right? But sometimes that's as far as it goes. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And then you go, but what am I to do with it, right? But the solution space is great.
It's really good, because it's not, we steer as far away from toxic positivity as possible.
Excellent.
It's not that, but it's just about remembering your own resilience in the moment. Like I think you guys were mentioning earlier in the show, performers end up having to, by no choice of their own, being resilient. But it's true of anybody. Life is long, and nobody has a great day every day, and very rarely do you have a great day the whole day. Like there was that wonderful quote by the woman who I think it was maybe, I don't know if it was the US or the UK AGT, and she'd been through hardships and she got that golden buzzer. And at the end, they said, "How do you do it?" And she said, "Oh, you can't wait for life not to be hard to be happy." And I really feel like that resonates so well, and that's a big part of the app, because it's like, yeah, things are gonna be hard. That is life, but you've been through 100%, you've gotten through 100% of the challenges that you faced to this point, and so don't forget that. And the person who got you through that was essentially you. You might have had great support, but you were the one that got you through. And this too shall pass. We come back to that a lot, and just take a breath. We have like an audible breath that we get all of our voices to just do a breathe in and out, and just acknowledging what they've come for. And it's just, I have the great fortune of listening to them over and over, because Elise and I do really conclusive listens to, we go through multiple rounds of notes with our wonderful audio team. And it always, even if it's a scenario that's not actually happening to me in that moment, there's usually something that is happening to me that's just got really good advice. It sort of largely came out of, I used to always Google what I was stressed about, and the main things that would come up were like the big and really important Beyond Blue and Lifeline. And I think at the time, I'm not feeling that, and I don't want to take a line away from somebody who is. If somebody is feeling very seriously, having a very serious mental health issue, then they should be the one that gets the help from that person. And I'm sure that's how they work. I'm sure they have lots of people ready, so don't take mine. That's not one. But I remember once when I was doing Shrek the musical, I went back to work when my son Teddy was 5 weeks old, and I was really overwhelmed, and I was expressing and working 6 days a week, and like Kerrie was saying, you only get the one day off, and it was I called this, I found eventually after trawling through the big ones, finding this maternal health nurse line, and this bad lax of a maternal health nurse was like, how many times you're expressing? And I told her, she's like, well, that's ridiculous, just stop doing that, who are you trying to prove that to? Don't do that. And it was so really pragmatic advice, like this is what you should do and do it now, and like instead of it being kind of airy fairy or woo woo.
I love that. Battleaxe.com, that's who I'm after there. But we all need a battle axe in our life. So the app is called Hey Lemonade, and I absolutely love it. Congratulations to you and Elise, Lucy. It's just a beautiful side hustle that, now is your full-time. But can you fit that in? Because I know that you haven't left the stage, of course.
Elise and I are constantly, Elise recently did a production of The Wedding Singer in New Zealand, and she was playing the lead role, and she was on her Apple Watch in between scenes, like going, all right, can you just email this person? Like, she's the best podcaster in the world. We both have continued to work as our, in the arts and do this at the same time. But it's great.
Congratulations.
Yes.
And it just aesthetically, it's beautiful from the moment that you open it.
Yeah.
Yes. I've subscribed immediately just from you turn it on, you went, oh, this is beautiful. I'm in the right place.
It's true. It's
so
very clever.
Lucy.
We very quickly have to just acknowledge two things. Firstly, you're doing a show called Midnight, which opens soon, right?
Well, it actually only opens at mid next year. So
beg your pardon.
June, so but it's really exciting because it's a new Australian musical. So John Foreman and Anthony Costanzo have written the music, and Dean and Pip have written the script, and it's really epic music. Like sometimes we've had, really cool, like there's been some great Australian musicals that have come out in the last few years, and they're often sort of cool or they're kind of small, whereas this is lavish, like it's really beautiful, beautiful big showstoppers and a lovely group of people, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's
check out
a list of the Cinderella.
Yes, a retelling of Cinderella, which, awesome. And I can't wait to see you in that role, Lucy. And I have to acknowledge that Wicked is back, which is, oh my God, we all identify Wicked with you, Lucy. So it's going to be interesting to see a whole new production next year.
I'm so looking forward to seeing a new production and being in the audience and taking Polly, my daughter Polly. The last time I did Wicked, I was 5 months pregnant with Polly, and she's now 7. So she's the perfect age, because I used to say back when we were doing Wicked, Wicked's for the ages 8 to 80. And of course we took a 4-year-old cousin at the time, and if you're over 80, you're very welcome. But I'm excited. I'm so excited to come back and see, a fresh new take. And like you guys said, I'm sure there'll be, life has moved on quite swiftly, which is so good. And of course it could move even more swiftly, but so great to hear rumours of, more diverse casting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that displayed on stage.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Oh, Lucy Durack, thank you so much for joining us. I adore you, and it's been one of my goals this year to get you on the show, and I was so thrilled that you had released Hey Lemonade. So I'm like, oh, this is my chance.
I'm absolutely honoured to chat to you both. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you, Lucy.
Take care.
I'm in a new strategy.
So from musicals to the drama and music of the sporting field. See what I did there?
Boom, boom.
No, I know.
And it's not quite my language.
It is not your language.
And you know what? That's all right. That's
is
all right.
okay.
I love the athleticism and the passion behind sport.
Yes.
And I'll leave all the conversation to you, because I don't know much about it.
Let's dive on. There is so much sport happening right now, and I'm not an expert, so I thought let's get someone on who is an expert. Sasha Dougherty from Chicks Talking Footy on Joy 94.9. Hi there, Sash.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, look, really good. And I love watching sport. Don't know how to play it. Don't know much about the to's and fro's of it. But let's start with the incredible victory from the Gillaroos in the Rugby World Cup over the weekend. What an incredible, it was a smashing, right?
It was 54 points versus 4. So absolute smashing. Gillaroos win their 3rd straight Women's Rugby League World Cup, which is incredible. It was at Old Trafford in England. The Ferns, Kiwi Ferns, as always, put on an amazing performance of the haka, which to me, it just brings such, I don't know, it stirs something in you, regardless of who you barrack for, I think, and it's their identity. But unfortunately, they didn't come across on the day. And the Gillaroos just unstoppable at the moment. And it was great to see actually the men's side as well won. So it was a clearing across the board with that one. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I think there's been some talk around the fact that NRLW is receiving, some really, decent investment in comparison to perhaps the rest of the world, and that might be why they're so dominant on the world stage.
Yeah, it definitely helps. They're certainly a bit ahead of the game compared to, say, AFLW or even soccer here with the A-League. They seem to invest not only more money, but, more facilities, time, advertisement, getting people involved, looking for those players that can, be on the world stage as well as the local stuff. So I think it's a good testament to how they're running things here at the moment.
Who would have thought when you put money into something
That it would actually work and improve.
it can actually
It's
excel.
a shock, isn't it? It's an absolute shocker.
Are we seeing it grow in other forms as well? Is this going to lead the way to other corporates going, oh, well, okay, this is kind of working, let's invest? Do you think we'll see some change?
Hope so. I mean, there's enough hints out on, social media platforms that perhaps there should be more money in women's sport. Shock again. It's getting there, but it's still a bit slow for my liking. But especially when you do get results like this, you get, Gillaroos, Matildas all making headlines. You've got tennis stars in Australia. So there's a lot of potential there for sports that might not be getting the funding that they deserve.
And we do love it when we win on the world stage, but victories don't just happen, right?
No, exactly. We love a bandwagon as well.
Don't we?
That's a great way to put it.
We absolutely do. We're talking of bandwagons. I mean, we've all. I'm well and truly for a long time now on the AFLW bandwagon, and the grand final is this Sunday. We've got the W Awards tonight. Give us a little rundown of what we're going to see.
Okay, so you've got big information here where it was announced that because the Lions had the ownership of, they won the premiership and their grand final is now in Brisbane-ish. The ground was a big thing. So it's at Springfield. It's going to be an interesting matchup in general because the Demons have been here before. It's actually the second time in a year that they've reached a grand final, which is, unprecedented considering they had 2 seasons in 1 year. But yeah, look, it's going to be a very interesting game. It's a fresh ground. There's arguments over, there's 8,000 capacity, but only 600 seats in a grandstand. It's just, all the same talk we hear every time there's a final for the AFLW, whether it should be at Marvel or somewhere else. And
so for some reason it's not being played at the Gabba, even though...
No, so from what I have have heard, Guns N' Roses are taking over Metricon and there's some cricket or something at the Gabba. So, they didn't really plan ahead and that's another issue, again, with women's sport. They just don't think ahead on, people actually want to go and support their sides and their sport itself. So here we are again travelling out towards Ipswich to a game that's on, front and centre. And
a game on a ground where this is literally, the ground has only just opened. I mean, tribute to them that they've fast-tracked the development of this ground to try and put the game there, but they've literally never played. No game has been on this ground, and I don't even know if the stands are finished.
No, well, just looking at some footage yesterday, the scoreboard wasn't complete.
We could go back to the old-fashioned way of holding up just the numbers.
Yes.
You know, like at your home ground as kids, like they were sitting with a little piece of cardboard and a texter.
Oh, it'll work. The club CEO from the Lions, Greg Swan, was very adamant and slightly defensive in the criticism of his ground, claiming that it's better than a lot of NFL grounds he's seen in his time. Which seemed irrelevant considering it's different sport and country, but never mind.
Yeah, thanks.
At the end of the
Thanks,
day,
Swanee.
the players themselves are not phased. They just want to play the game, and they want to focus on that. So good luck to both of those sides. I think it's going to be a cracker. They've played each other before. We'd always love to see Melbourne get a win, but
over
soft
Brisbane,
spot
I
for
think.
Lions.
Yeah, I mean, and Taylor Harris being a bit of a news there in that she had an injury in the previous game, but she says she's going to play. In fact, she walked into the press conference with her arms in the air going, "I'm okay, shoulders okay." I love that.
And look, she is an incredibly tough elite athlete. You know, she's boxer as well as a footballer, so I think a shoulder injury will not stop her, considering there's a grand final at play here. So regardless, I think they would have put her on. I think what they will do is keep her out of the ruck position, because that is something that really can play havoc on shoulders.
Yes. I'd love to mention, before we move on from the AFLW, Sash, there were just beautiful scenes over the weekend when we saw Adelaide pay tribute to Heather Anderson, who died last week. What an incredibly tragic, devastating thing to happen. But once again, AFLW standing up and really responding in a beautiful way. Yeah,
it was a really moving beginning to that game. The minute silence, but you could see the emotion on the players, especially the players that had won that premiership with Heather in 2017. It would have had a huge impact building into that week as well, but they credit to them. They certainly gave a lot of compassion and support to not only Heather's family, but calling, respect to her and writing lovely posts and things about her. And, Heather was the first NT-based player to be drafted in the Crows back when it was really starting out, and quite young at the time. And, she was well known for the pink headgear that she wore, the helmet. It was for her vision-impaired mum so that she could see her play better. She retired after a second serious shoulder dislocation, and that was at 23 years old. So you still got your career ahead of you. And she was incredible in the army, a medic, did a lot of support and fundraising there as well. So it was really sad to hear that news. Something you never want to hear about, to be honest. But
I think acknowledging, though, that the loss was there, and really kind of honouring the fact that mental health is an issue amongst athletes and something that we need to speak openly about and really remove that stigma.
Yeah, we do. And I think earlier in the piece, I think we spoke about it last time I was on, about Steph Chiocci opening up that channel of conversation about mental health and not being afraid to talk about it openly. Look, it's something that the Army and the ADF itself struggle with. There's been, that call for a Royal Commission on mental health and suicide in veterans. So it's certainly something that needs to be not just spoken about when terrible things like this happen, but it needs to continue on. And I think a lot of the AFLW players have done really well with expressing that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that she will be remembered in the W Awards tonight as well. Just finally, before we say goodbye, of course, the Matildas have just been dominant this year, and we've seen the tickets go on sale for the World Cup, which is in Australia and New Zealand next year, which is super exciting. What a time it's going to be.
I know, it was so exciting. And this is, there's been so much sport in the last sort of month, focusing on females not only, but this was really great. So there were 4 games, 4 wins by the Matildas, but I guess the main win was the fact that, that it was sellout crowds all throughout Australia. The last game was in Gosford, 11,500 people. And they really put on a show for the fans. Sam Kerr, as per normal, starred very heavily in that game. She scored her 12th goal this year, just for the Matildas, not including any of her Chelsea accolades. yeah, there was a return of a really loved Matilda called Elise Kellen-Knight. So she came back after 500 days of being out of the game from, ACL injuries and things like that. So they, cheered her on very loudly from watching the game. But look, they're all back to England or the A-League now, pre and post Christmas. So they don't really get much of a break. But I think it would have been a real chuff moment for them to be home and being playing with those crowds. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kez, I don't know, sport isn't necessarily your thing, but they are looking for 5,000 volunteers for the World Cup next year. So if you'd like to put on a Daggy t-shirt that says FIFA World Cup and direct people down the street, that could be for
that's
you.
a way to get involved, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, yes. Perfect way.
Well, you know that Aussies love sport, and we are really embracing this World Cup. I'm really excited to see all of the women and all of the world sport come to Australia. What an amazing moment. Hey, Sash, thanks so much for that roundup.
You're very welcome. It's been, such a huge time with sport, and I look forward to the grand final this Sunday for the AFLW. So, let's hope it's a good one and that the Springfield ground can hold up.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, you take care. We'll see you again soon.
See you, Sash.
Bye.
My workout routine comes with me wherever I go, and so does Bondi Protein. It gives me the post-workout nutrients I need. Fuel your body with Australian-made Bondi Protein.
Broad Radio. Talking inspo we love, info we need, and sharing more of us. Watch and listen live every Tuesday 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time at broadradio.com.au or find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and LinkedIn at Broad Radio Oz. Talk to us live. Call on 1300 8 Broad. Catch up on demand anytime, anywhere, every time, everywhere. On the train, we'll be here. 2 a.m. existential crisis, we've got you covered. Broad Radio, here for more.
Well, Kez, it's now your time to shine because...
What do you mean?
Well, I know that you are taking part in the world's biggest party next year when Sydney World Pride happens, 17th of Feb to 5th of March 2023. To tell us all about it, we're going to be joined by producer Lisa Freshwater. Hi there, Lisa.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi,
Lisa,
Kerrie. Hi,
the
Jo.
hardest working person in Sydney. Leading up to, I know you're probably just taking a little breath at the moment because tell everybody what you've actually collated in the last months. I've been dealing with Lisa directly with regards to the arts program, but there's so much going on with City World. Not just the parties, which are great, but there's so much more to it than that, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. Sydney World Pride is the biggest Pride festival. It's kind of Mardi Gras on steroids, and they call it the Olympic of Pride festivals. And it's the first time that it's come to Australia, to the Southern Hemisphere. In fact, it was bid on by a team in 2018, and Sydney won. And it's really, really exciting to be here. So Sydney World Pride incorporates major events, including the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras events, and what I look after, which is 3 programs, which is World Pride Arts, World Pride Sports, and a program called Pride Amplified, which is our open access program, which gives the opportunity for anybody to be involved in Sydney World Pride.
And, there are huge events, big names playing, including Kylie. I mean, I feel like she was a non-negotiable when it came
part
to
of history.
I mean, was she a part?
There'd be a riot, let's be honest, if Kylie was not there.
But I mean, it's sort of about the smaller events too, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, I guess World Pride Arts is a program that just hasn't happened in Sydney before, and it's on a scale never seen before in Australia. And World Pride Arts is basically bringing together major arts centres all the way through to independent producers and giving them a platform. So we've got kind of the Art Gallery of New South Wales, the MCA, City Recital Hall, the Sydney Opera House, Campbelltown Arts Centre, Pact Theatre, just thinking about the broad cross-section, Riverside Theatre, Belvoir, Griffin, every single arts centre across Sydney is participating in Sydney World Pride, and we have been able to create a funding stream to ensure that independent producers and these arts centres are able to participate and create incredible work with queer themes. So it's going to be a complete Greater Sydney takeover.
What I really love is that there'll be stories being told that perhaps haven't been told before from perspectives that we've not seen before. And I'm actually referring to one of the things you're doing, Kes, which is an exhibition about drag kings.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because to me, I don't think anybody you think about drag queens, but the drag king is totally not told.
Absolutely. Well, this is the love project from my partner, Sexy Galaxy, who is a world-famous drag king. And that came about because there is little to no information in the archives, in the queer archives. So we're undertaking this exhibition called Behind the Zip, clever name, which we've been funded by the World Arts Program, which is very exciting. And so it accommodates an exhibition of the drag king histories around Australia pre-2006, so pre-social media. So it's going to be a multi-level experience and incorporating with events around that as well. So doing a Q&A with meeting some of these drag king legends from the 90s and early 2000s. And there's just, going into the queer archives here, there's such little on the women. So that's why we want to change that up and make it an archival project. And with the funding, we've been very fortunate to be able to put this together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a real, Kerrie, I think you'll agree, it's really a time for drag kings right now, isn't it? So to be able to visit the history of drag kings in Australia is incredible. It's a space that I think a very niche part of the community know about, but to really celebrate drag kings and royalty on this level, and to try and give them a platform and lift them up like, the drag queens all across the world have, is really, really exciting. We're so excited for your project, Kerrie.
Thank you. Yes, we're happy to be putting it on. And of course, there's so many other there's how many in the Pride Amplified program? Tell us a little bit about that, Lisa. There's over 300 acts going on.
Yeah, so Pride Amplified, as I mentioned, is the open access program. You register to be part of it. And so we've got kind of promoters from, kind of Sydney, from interstate, and actually from, global promoters coming to do both parties, experiences, arts and cultural events, and lots of community events as well. It's really a place where there's something for everybody in Pride Amplified. We opened registrations back in June, and we have 192 projects in the guide. I'll just, I can show you our guide.
Isn't that pretty?
It's pretty beautiful, isn't it? But that's how
it's a
big
Bible.
The festival is.
That's a queer
It's
Bible.
a Bible. Yeah, absolutely. 192 projects at the moment, but we're also open for registrations right now, closing on the 28th of this month of November, and so people can still register their event to be put on the website. We have a Pride Amplified website which really promotes all of those events, and we're looking like there's probably going to be about 300 events in Pride Amplified, 72 in World Pride Arts, and we have 17 amazing sports events, so which I also look after, Kerrie, as we know, and
Yes.
And probably come from Kerrie's background, and it's been a very big learning curve with my sporting knowledge.
Do you know what? That's so funny to me, right? Because I'm the same. I'm theatre and performance and writing background, but my daughter loves sport. And what I have learned about it is if you go through the lens of the drama and what it does for you as a person, it's just like theatre.
It really is.
It really is theatre. It's like, it's there's the passion in it. And also, I think what I've really learned about sports people is they're very aligned with arts people. They're focused and disciplined and passionate, and, the commitment to what they do is really extraordinary. And I have so much, I just look up to them so much. It's really exciting. I have now learned that halftime is not called interval.
What's so funny about that is when I take my husband to the theatre, he calls interval half time
or lunch break.
It's the saying, doesn't matter. I love it. The other really beautiful thing about when you're opening up events to the community and to people who are putting on their own, whatever it might be, right? The process of it is that they're telling their story and they're learning about themselves. And that's what's so important about these events, is that it's not just what the audience experiences, but it's what the people who are actually exploring themselves in putting it on are doing.
Yeah, I love this, Jo, because it's really about autonomous storytelling. It's about people with lived experiences telling their stories in their way. And I think that's when you get a really profound and extraordinary experience on stage, or, wherever it is, whether it's a party or whether it's an outdoor experience, when it's the people whose experiences and stories are their own, it changes the way that we're able to view it and the lens that we view it through.
Absolutely. I'd like to mention too, actually, it's only 2 days since that very devastating mass shooting in Colorado Springs in the gay nightclub there, in a hate crime that killed 5 people and injured so many more. I think we need to remember, and often people overlook the fact that something like World Pride, it exists because the discrimination and persecution of the gay community is still so prevalent.
Absolutely. It's still absolutely real, and it's real for all parts of the community, especially a lot of our marginalised community, our trans community, our gender diverse community, who are really still struggling, and a lot of the queer community experiencing not just these incredible, like really heart-wrenching things that are happening still in America or in many first world countries, but bringing the focus to the experiences of those who experience microaggressions every single day. And that is what happens here today in Australia. We also have an incredible human rights conference, which is going to be for 3 days at the ICC, which is really shining a light on the injustices of the Asia Pacific. So there's going to be active ways of looking at how to make real change in the festival and what we can do beyond to really improve the lives of LGBTQIA plus people.
It's so powerful.
It's now more than ever. Continually, we're still continuing to have these conversations and having to have hard conversations and hopefully falling on the right ears for things to change. We know where we all sit, but it's the greater community that, unfortunately, that need to hear it, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. How many thousands of people will descend on Sydney next year, do you think?
Well, there's like there's a whole lot of different numbers, but there's Deloitte did a study, and I think there's like 1.2 million participants. So that's including all of us, everybody who's here, everyone who's involved, or everyone coming from interstate and global visitors. But there's going to be a lot of people waving that rainbow flag in Sydney next year. There's actually going to be we've got like a rainbow project where, councils and organisations are doing rainbows all over Sydney where you can follow that around. So it's going to be a very colourful month between the 17th of February and the 5th of March.
How amazing.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. And I think Sydney actually does need it. I think, also to bring back to bring the life back, the queer nightlife back into Oxford Street, which of course was the hub for forever. It needs that injection. And I think Sydney World Pride is going to be how it happens. Yeah, it's essential. We need to take it back.
Yeah. Well, the rest of the country can descend and really enjoy Sydney at its best.
Yeah. I mean, look, the queers know how to party.
I want to get there. I don't know. It's my daughter's birthday that weekend, and I'm like, I might have to just say,
put the party on the Friday. Come for Mardi Gras recovery. Come to mine.
3 weekends, Jo. 3 weekends.
Hey, Lisa, congratulations ahead of time. I know that you've got a lot of work to get yourselves there, and by the time you end at the end of March, middle of March, beginning of March, you are going to need a big lie down.
A big sleep.
Yes. But congratulations. It's really extraordinary. It's doing amazing things, and I just, huge party. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Thanks for all your hard work, Lisa, and to your team as well.
Thanks, Kerrie. Thanks, Jo.
And Kes, before we
Yes.
introduce our last guest for today, I do need to mention that you are crowdfunding for one of your events.
Yes, so as I just mentioned before with Lisa, so Behind the Zip is our Drag King History Australia exhibition. We do have some funding, but we need a whole lot more. So we are running a crowdfunding campaign. The link is up on your screen and will also be in the notes. Any support would be fantastic. It's about giving voices to the women who have been performing and have not had their stories told and not put into the archive. So this is a way we're going to document everything. But of course, the funding that we have received is not enough to cover it all that we need to do. And so we want to make it
Never is.
really exceptional.
Yes, get along
So
and
thank you so
support.
much for any of your support.
Behind the Zip. Love it, love it, love it. Well, okay, one last event that we can't ignore, which is coming at us at a rate of knots, faster than I would like. It's Christmas. Oh my God.
This year, it's bananas. And here
really
we go.
is.
Blink, it'll be Christmas. Blink, it'll be 23, and there we are.
Has this year gone faster than every other year in history? I don't know. It's really alarming. But anyway, if you're looking for a tip as to what to fill some stockings with, you wouldn't go past Oprah's favourite things, would
It's-
you?
No, this woman is a force of nature.
Oh my gosh, I love her so
you
very
can
much.
have one, and you can have one.
That's it. And in Oprah's favourite things, you would find a little old Aussie hand cream, which I absolutely love, by Murphy and Daughters, and it's by owner Sarah Murphy, who joins us now. Hi there, Sarah.
Hi, thank you very much for having me today.
Oh, Sarah, congratulations on this extraordinary accolade, and I believe it is the second time that Oprah has included you and your beautiful hand creams in her favourite things.
That's true. It's been very exciting. It was very exciting the first time around, and it's just absolutely incredible to have it all happen again.
How did it happen? Like, do you get a little email? Oh, by the way, you're going to be in this. Do you get a little? I feel like
You
know,
do. There is a
there's-
whole process. I think initially it's because I now exhibit at trade shows in the US, and I was there at the time the Oprah team came through looking at everybody's wares, and they mentioned to me that they thought that my product might make it, and I didn't even know what the list was at the time when they brought it up. It was a January trade show, and I said, "Oh, would that be for Mother's Day?" And they said, "No, this is for holiday." I was like, "Oh my God, that's so far away." But they also wanted me to supersize my product. They said, "This is lovely, but can you do a gigantic version?" I said, "Of course I can do a gigantic version." So I sampled that up, I sent it to them, and by August of that year, this is the very first time around, they said, "You're now looking pretty good for it." And then, a month later, or sort of 8 weeks in from the big announcement, they said, "Yep, you're in." So that gave me this incredibly short amount of time to produce a whole lot of product, and over in America as well for fulfillment, and it happened, and that was just brilliant. And I have only great things to say about Oprah and her team in the process, because it's just a beautiful, exciting, extra marketing tick on all my products because I was included.
I would imagine that would have blown up your brand. Like anything that Oprah endorses, that's it. You've made it to the next level. But of course, it's great to have that sell through of one particular product, but then to have that sustainability with it too. But now to include it twice, it's like, oh, nice.
I know. I'm just thinking, could this happen every year? No, stop getting really greedy. No, it's been really exciting again. I just it's meant a lot for my online sales around the world. So lots of people are logging in and ordering every day there. I've also stores all around the world are really interested. If you get that kind of endorsement from Oprah, who everyone loves because she's such a loveless woman, it just has been absolutely mind-blowing, really.
I'm guessing you've not had a chance to meet Oprah during this process.
You know what? I have to confess, I haven't actually met her in person. I've met her her creative director of her magazine and her market director, and they're both absolutely lovely, and they hang out with her all the time. So I feel like I've just about met her.
No, but see, that's the thing. Oprah is impenetrable, but as she needs to be, because can you imagine how many people want to get to Oprah? Like the millions of people in the world who would do anything to get a meeting with Oprah, and she's like, she doesn't have time.
Joe, this I would imagine, but I just want to digress quickly because you are a fan. You're a fan of the hand cream before Oprah put her tick of approval on it.
Well, listen, my endorsement is probably not worth as much as Oprah's.
It is.
I
really
love it.
is.
Thank you.
But your hand creams have been my go-to for teachers for presents. Presents for teachers, Christmas presents for teachers since my daughter started prep. And these, because they're so beautiful and creamy and they smell amazing. And who doesn't love a hand cream? And I always imagine the teacher sitting at their desk, tired at the end of the day, marking, and just going, "Oh, my hands are so dry," and just reaching in their top drawer, and then just going, "Oh, a lovely bit of lovely Murphy and Daughters for there."
So, Sarah, your overnight success
No,
has
I
taken,
love
what,
that.
12 years?
Exactly. It's been very quick. No, it has. It's been a really I actually started my business completely without thought of, I didn't have a business plan. I just went, "Oh, I'm going to do this stuff. I'm going to make this beautiful product. We don't have anything like it in Australia." Little did I know how much effort would be required to actually get it somewhere. To be honest.
This is, I think, what Lucy Durack said at the start of the show, and I honestly have said many times
Yes.
about Broad Radio. If you have any idea, you wouldn't start something, right? But isn't naivety a gift in a way?
Absolutely. I've said many times, if I had known, I probably wouldn't have done it. I'm completely so glad I have done it now, because it's kind of, it's taken a very long time, but if you put in the hard yards, you do get things, where they're meant to be in the end.
I do find it interesting that it's that I read that women over 40 make up a huge proportion of new business owners and startup founders, and it's kind of, I don't know, how old were you, Sarah, when you began?
I was thinking about this last night, because I read about someone who posted on Instagram. I was 38 when I started my business, and they've now made a very successful business. I was actually, I think, 43.
Yeah.
I'm 55 now. It's my second business. I had a filmmaking business for years, which I loved and did, worked at really hard. But my two children, when I had them, it became really hard to do that business. It was really hard to get up at, 6 a.m. and do a telecine grade and then look after children. And then, so I took a different route for a while when my children were little. And then at a certain point, I thought, I want to do it again. I want to do my own thing again. And so that's how old I was, 43.
And I think that it's an age at which you're going, "Oh, I need to own my own destiny."
Yes.
Yeah. And I do think you can sort of think of it like, if I'd started this 20 years ago, it could be great. But, who cares? Start it now, see where it goes. Like there's no other better day than today, sort of thing, to get on with your life.
I love that. There's no other better day than today.
That's good. And if you need a pep talk, just go to Hey Lemonade.
Oh, yes. Lucy Durack and Elise McCann. Look, I tell you what, I often go to startup events, right? And I'm in the room with other founders, and everybody assumes that I'm the mother of one of the founders when I go in, because they're so young. I don't know if you've discovered that, Sarah, in the startup world, but they're all like 25, 28, and I walk in and I'm like, no, I'm 50 and I have a startup. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, they don't understand that this is a whole second phase of our life, and it's the best phase of our life.
Yeah. I can't imagine doing this when I was 25, but good on those people. It's fantastic.
Yes. So the OPRAH's Favourite Things happens, and I have to look. I was on the website today, and it's actually, to me, I have dived into it and gone, oh my gosh, these are some great. Actually, Oprah's Favourite Things are fantastic for Christmas. Who knew she was onto something?
Who knew her team could put forward so many great things?
My favourite on the same page is, she says about some. There's a soap set here, and she says, "Stedman and I love a big bar of soap."
Stedman and I.
Love it.
Really?
Stedman and I love
Stedman and I can imagine that.
love a big bar of soap. Good on you, Oprah.
What is Stedman?
Oh, but there you are.
Stedman's still around? I didn't know.
Yes. Oh, she and Stedman are going strong. Don't you know that?
I don't follow.
But have you had people from around the world reach out to you and say, "I love your products"?
Yes, I have. Definitely.
That's great.
I mean, it's been incredible. It is that really amazing tick of approval.
And does it mean that, are you releasing new things? You got new dreams and goals for Murphy?
Yeah, the whole little world in my little world is you have to release new things all the time. So, every 6 months I come out with a new catalogue and a few extra beautiful things that hopefully will adorn people's stores all around the world.
I love seeing the success of an Aussie business run by an amazing woman. Like just yes,
That's
tick
it.
tick.
That's right. Get on board, Murphy and Daughters, for any of your Christmas needs,
Lovely.
whether
Or your
it's
teachers.
for your teachers or stocking fillers, whatever it might be. Absolutely beautiful. Congratulations, Sarah. I'm thrilled for you.
Well done.
Thank you so much, and thank you both for having me.
Oh,
it's my
pleasure. Have
pleasure.
a great Christmas. Thank you.
And I might mention actually that Sarah has supported Broad Radio because we did some giveaways earlier this year and she
I
donated some
remember.
products, and that was, oh my
Fabulous.
gosh, yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
Fabulous.
Oh, Kez, it's been lovely to
Gee, that
spend
went
this-
quick.
didn't it?
We've had all of our guests amazing today. Thank you
Yes.
so much to everyone who joined us. It was really fabulous.
Yeah. Now, one last thing that I'd like to share with our audience, because I have you here as a makeup artist, and I know that you're an expert in skin. You've got a real passion for skin, and you're women over 40 who might need
this
a
is
little
true.
bit of it. So, what can you share with us that we can have a takeaway that's going to maybe make us feel fresh and livened and, perhaps less tired and old?
Okay, if you're into wearing makeup, rethink of what your foundation is. So if you've been doing the same thing forever, time to perhaps change it up. It could be changing your formulation up. So we want to have something that's a little bit more... I like a little bit of coverage still, but I don't want it to be mattified. So and have a look at the wording that's on your foundation. So it could be something that's, you get a little bit of light coverage but dewy finish. Look at perhaps applying it with a bigger buffing brush, so you buff it onto your skin, or use less. Use your fingers to warm it up and really get it on. And blush.
Ah, yeah.
Blush is nice. Get a bit of colour on your cheeks.
Because sometimes I worry if I use blush, I'm going to look like I've, sort of, when they colour old photos, like when they put like colour on a
Yes.
sepia photo,
Yes.
I worry that I'm going to look like that.
Well, just don't put too much on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's it. Bang. No, look, you want to keep it a little bit, especially as we want to lift the face up. What happens when we age? Everything just drops a wee bit. So so keep your colour on your cheeks just that little bit higher. And also, I love a bright lippy, but not everyone does. But our lip shape changes as we get older. So we want to change our lip shape up by take it not to the corners and make it a little bit fuller. So even if you do
So
it in
higher rather than wider.
correct. Because when it's wide, what's happening with their mouth is this happens.
Oh,
And
yeah,
this
you
happens.
look like you're sad all the time.
Yes, this.
You don't want to look sad. You got
No.
resting bitch face already.
100%.
Yeah.
No, that's going to change.
Okay,
Stay
so-
tuned for more makeup tips.
I love it. Higher, not wider. I
That's
love this. What great tips.
Oh, thank
Thanks,
you.
Kev.
Oh, my pleasure. It's so nice to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad that we had you, luckily, in Melbourne.
Yay.
We'll be back with more Broad Radio next week. We'll see you then.
Bye for now.